everyone, this is Cristina.
And I'm Andrea from Lacuna, Coil.
And you're listening to Louder.
So I'm here backstage with Andrea and Cristina sometimes from Lacuna Coil. How you guys doing?
Hello.
We're good. We're getting ready, slowly getting ready for the show tonight. So we're enjoying our time in the UK.
Okay, and it's not really warm, so it takes more time to get warmed up.
It's not too bad because we've been to Scandinavia like a couple of weeks ago, and then Germany. So we're already kind of used to it's not too cold, to be fair. It's just a bit rainy, but it's okay.
Well, Delirium was just released a few months ago.
Yep.
And if I'm mistaken, it's the first album that you guys produced by yourself. I think Marco.
Yes, Marco, our bass player, did the production for the album. Actually, in the past, he was always kind of the inner producer of the band, the guy who came up with the demos for the songs, or that would be working in very strict contact with the producers we worked with in the past. So he gained a lot of experience by working with all these international producers. And we thought that this time was the right time for him to take full responsibility, because he's been producing some local bands in Italy before. So it was time to give him a chance to step up and do a job that's of another level, and he did really well. He's been able to manage really well to separate the role of the musician and member of the band's friends of everybody with the role of the person who has to tell you do something differently, or cut this, cut that, or make it better, so it's been good in balancing and taking the responsibility. Obviously it's been quite a stressful process for him, because not only was producing a band but also his own band, so it was double responsibility almost, but he did a great job, so we're happy with it.
On one hand, it gave you more freedom as a band. On the other hand, he's a big guy. If you don't like what he's doing, it'll be difficult to say no to him.
Yeah, but actually, I think for the very first time we felt the total control of the product, although even in the past nobody forced us to do anything. But obviously when you have somebody very experienced working for you, and you pay him also a lot of money for that, you kind of try to listen to him, to learn and to make it better, So this time we had that kind of freedom, that if the music was going towards more heavy direction or something, not necessarily following the cliche of Lacuna Coil, what you've been knowing Lacuna Coil so far, we felt the freedom to just go and do it, to just go heavy where it was needed, and just go without thinking too much about this is to be a radio song or this has to be a single, whatever. We just went for the music, following more the music.
Okay, and I know that the album tells the story of a sanitarium that you created.
Yep.
So how was it researching for it? I know that you have some family history of mental illnesses. I think you have a relative that was battling with it. But I know that some actors, when they go into research for a role, sometimes they go too dark and it affects them as well. So was it difficult reading about it, talking about it?
I mean, it was, we did part of the research has been based on personal experiences, and part has been more looking at, like, for example, pictures from the sanatoriums of the beginning of the century. And what was really weird about it was not really the horror side of it, what you could expect from a horror movie about the sanatorium, but more what actually was the weirdness of these people in the way they look at you, the way they move, the way they stand on a bed, very not natural, very different than somebody which you can consider sane. And what was very interesting was also to find out that there is a logic in their lack of logic, even if they're crazy, these people, they have a path, like a way that they follow, and they make sense in their own terms, obviously, So it was interesting to learn more about it, and to learn how many people is actually affected by. Obviously, there are different levels. Some people more, some people in a lighter way. So in the songs, we talk about sometimes topics more connected to the depression kind of side, which we experience personally. Or sometimes we just go more towards the proper mental illnesses, but we like to do sort of a parallel between the real mental problem and the everyday craziness, So we sometimes, for example, we have a song called You Love Me Cause I Hate You, and in the song we took inspiration from the problem of the Stockholm Syndrome, which is a syndrome you get when you get kidnapped by somebody and then you fall in love with the person who's keeping you a prisoner. But obviously we never been kidnapped, but what we took from that is that sometimes you are in a relationship where you're very imprisoned, although you don't realize it until this relationship ends, and maybe it ends in a bad way, in a very negative way, but everybody else around you notice that you're very kind of a slave into this relationship, very negative for you, although you don't recognize it. So it was cool to do this parallel and use the characteristic of the real illnesses and bring it into the day-to-day situation you can experience like everybody else, So that's what we did, and we did a wide research, especially after we decided the title of the record. It was Delirium, and was coming from the song Delirium, actually.
And you've mentioned that sometimes it's not you that see the problem, but the people around you.
Yeah.
So is being declared crazy, is it something that scares you or something that you see as liberation?
I mean, it can scare you because sometimes crazy means also a lot of problems in your everyday life, so you get a lot of problems legally and you consider a different kind of human being in a way. So it's still a lot stigmatized, so you can give you a trademark that you don't want to have because it can damage you seriously. But on the other hand, who's crazy anymore, in this everyday situation where everybody's so crazy about technology, crazy about every day we watch the news and it seems people is going more and more into extreme behaviors, into extreme situations. So the crazy today is very different than crazy a few years ago, I think. So it's hard to say who's crazy anymore. Are we crazy that we stay all day with a phone in our hands and talk to people while we watch the phone? So is this normal anymore? It is normal, but it's a different level of crazy, I think, in life. So it can be good and bad at the same time, for sure.
So do you miss the simple days?
Sometimes, yes. Sometimes. Now, obviously, for example, being musicians is very comfortable that I can just turn on the phone and chat with my wife at home, So that's a good thing about technology, about the way. On the other hand, when we go out for dinner and everybody's on the phone instead of talking to each other, it's kind of funny, It's kind of stupid, because we are there, for 1 minute we are there eating and relaxing. We could chat about things, and instead we just check what's happening on Facebook, that you can easily check 1 hour later and nothing's gonna change, But so it is what it is, So sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad.
What about interaction with fans? Do you miss the old mystery days?
A little bit, yes. I think sometimes people know too much of you because a lot of people tend to put really all their life on Facebook. I personally don't. I put some of the things I do that I think might interest somebody else, but I'm sure people doesn't need to know how many times I go to the restroom, or sometimes it's funny you see pictures of people try to put like a poetic phrase and then they're in a bikini or something like that. So it's like it's funny how people really use it to appear, and that's it. Everybody likes to appear, obviously. Everybody like to look good and to be considered attractive, but you don't need to abuse it. And very often on the social media, people abuse of that, famous or not famous.
Yeah, I think a few days ago I found a video of you, Cristina, talking about your religious views. Mm-hmm. But the funny thing is that it was a video of you lying in bed, probably you just woke up, but apparently some fans asked you about your religious views. So on one hand, it gave you the opportunity of just doing it in bed. You don't have to go to studio. But on the other hand, people actually took some sort of an angle into your life and asked you about your religious views. Mm-hmm. So do you miss the old days where nobody knew, nobody had the opportunity of asking, or that you can do it from the comfort of your bed, but talk about your inner demons, inner secrets?
I have to say that internet is really helpful because it puts you in touch with people that you will probably never meet because they live on the other side of the earth. So I think it's a good instrument, it's a good tool to use to connect with fans. As Andrea said, we don't really abuse with it. You don't put too much of our private stuff, but at the same time we share a lot with our fans, and I like this connection. I really do like it because this way you can immediately have a feedback of what you did, of a show that you did. You can chit chat for a few seconds. So I honestly like it a lot. What I don't like about internet is that, of course, you put pictures, you put phrases, and they can only be they can sometimes be misunderstood. So whatever you do can be seen from a different angle that is not the real one. So this is what I don't like about internet, that everyone can have an opinion hiding behind a screen and maybe offend you or say something wrong about you not having a real profile. This is what I don't like. But I honestly like a lot to have a more intense, a closer connection with our fans.
And you have one new member. Well, the band went through some changes over the last few years, and you have one new member. The first time an American on as part of the band. So you guys being Italian, different cultures. How do you deal with him not kissing you every time he sees you, giving you a high five, and saying "dude" all the time?
He's actually doing it.
Yeah,
He turned Italian.
To be fair, Ryan has been with us now for over 8 years because he was our drum tech before he became the drummer. And when Cristiano, our old drummer, started to skip some touring because he had a baby girl, and then he was slowly taking a break from the band before he actually retired, he was already substituting him for many tours or shows. So he kind of became a natural process to incorporating in the band, slow, natural process, you know. So when we had to think about a new drummer, the only question was the fact that was being on the other side of the world was making things easier on a logistic base, you know, on a expense and the traveling time difference. That was the only concern we had, because Ryan is very experienced. He's been on tour many years, so he's a great drummer. So he was the perfect candidate. He's a good friend. So there was no reason. The only problem we had when we thought about him was the logistic of being on the other side of the world, you know. So that was the only thing we were worried about. All the rest we knew that it was gonna work fine, and was gonna just be a perfect drummer. We knew, and then we recorded with him on this record for the first time, and he did a great job finishing all the drums in less than a week. And so it was just the right choice, you know. But obviously, he makes things a little different, but I think he loves Italy. He spends a lot of time in Italy, get married in Italy, so he's really embraced the full thing, the culture also. He loves the food, so it's a really good fit for us.
I understand you guys are into food, and I know that the food in Italy is completely different than the food in England. In Italy, every tomato is pomodoro.
Pomodoro, yes.
So how are you dealing with food on the road?
I mean, we had time to get used to it because we were touring almost 20, like 15 years now. So it's like we had learned. In the beginning, it was very hard because everything was different, and we said, we don't do this in Italy, we don't do that. And then I think with the time you learn to embrace other people's culture more and to appreciate the different flavors and stuff that for you is too weird in the beginning, then it becomes normal, you know. So now when we're in the UK, we go for the English breakfast or the pies or the fish and chips, you know, all the things you can find obviously on the road. So it's not always possible to have a home cooked meal, you know, so what you can find. But we have learned, I think, to appreciate food all over the world now. Obviously, Italian food is still our favorite. There's no question about it. But
So what's more important, food or computer games?
I say food for us.
Same?
Yes. I mean, food is definitely on top.
And I'll ask one last serious question that kind of jumped off something you said a while ago, that you said that you see yourself as some sort of a tomboy.
Yes.
So I know that there are more and more women getting into rock over the last few years, but every woman has a different onstage persona. So some women use their sexuality a bit more, some less. I'm not saying that one is better than the other, but you toured recently with Butcher Babies.
Yeah.
It's completely different than your onstage persona. Did you have any conversations about women in rock, women on stage, power?
To be honest, we never talked about it. All my colleagues are pretty, have pretty strong personalities, even if, as you said, they are just like translating their characteristics on stage. I honestly never compare the stage appearance because everyone is different, and you just have to be comfortable with yourself, no matter how you are, no matter if you're more an exhibitionist or you're more reserved, or you like more to show your femininity, or the other way around. I personally like to show a lot of energy because I'm a type of person like that. I'm very energetic, always like positive. I sometimes define myself as the Tasmanian devil because I'm always hyper on everything. So it would be weird for me to be on stage and stand still and to be the diva of the situation, because it's not me. I like to move. I like to be like one of the guys and not to be the one that stands out. And we made it pretty clear from a lot of years now. We all want to be in the spot. I don't want to be in the spot alone. I want Lacuna Coil to be in the spot. That's why I consider myself a tomboy. Also because, life on tour is not for every woman on earth. You just have to be easy and kind of adapt to a lot of things that are not exactly comfortable for a so-called regular woman.
So, as a band, you ever have a discussion about what is sexy, either for guys or for girls?
No, we never talk about it because I think it's sexuality is something that it's there in you. You know, you can't really pretend you're sexy if you're not. You know, and there is something inside you that makes you attractive to some people, and I think it's different for every person. You know, people like certain more explicit things. People like more see through the glass kind of things. You know, it depends on your flavor, on your. So we never really. We mostly try to have a good look for the band that looks good. Everybody looks good in his own way. You know, you can't have the band being all the same. You know, you need band to have a compact image, but also with different personalities. You know, we tried in the past different ways because sometimes people wasn't comfortable wearing the same things as someone else because they rather see themselves with a different kind of clothes. So we always try to study an image that can work for the band as well as for every personality in the band.
I think that confidence is sexy. However you look, you don't really need a mini skirt to be sexier because, I mean, if you're not comfortable wearing that skirt with high heels, you're gonna look ridiculous even if you're wearing a skirt with heels. So I think that showing confidence and feeling good in your skin, it's already sexy.
So for the next cycle of the band, the next cycle of touring, I should not expect the guys being in Speedos.
No.
The next costume.
Maybe mini
I hope
skirt,
not.
many mini skirt and heels.
Or at least let it be holographic. Let it be holographic and sparkly.
Well, can't wait to see that. Is there anything else you want to add to fans and listeners before we say goodbye?
We definitely want to thank them so much for the support. We've been around for a while now, and it's great to see that our basis of fans is so loyal and strong. It's great to see them becoming friends with each other, even
And
from different places. And we just want to thank them because, I mean, we're able to live with our music and to pursue our dream because of them. It's hard work on our side, but it's because of their support that we're still here, and hopefully we're gonna do this for a lot of years to come.
Yeah, obviously thank you, and thanks for the legacy of all these years, and come to see the show, and hopefully we'll be back soon again in the UK.
Okay, guys, thank you very much.
You're welcome.